Don't touch mine.
Welcome back to this week's episode of Whoscussion. We're on part B now. We're going to talk about Caerdroia. Was that right?
I think that's what we just established here. Caerdroia.
Caerdroia.
Welsh Troy.
Welsh Troy. So Welsh Troy. And then we're going to finish it off with Rise and Fall, the short trip. And I'm glad we added these short trips because they're tiny. They're so short.
Really short. They're proper short trips.
Yeah, they're actual short trips. It's great. So Harriet Skelly, take us away with Caerdroia.
All right, so we begin in the interzone, as we normally do these days. We've got the Croaker seeming quite annoyed at the fact that the Doctor has decided to take a nap. And we realize during this time that apparently the Croaker can't move them through the zones without the Doctor being conscious. Which is interesting. And we had a little bit more discussion into story stuff. Probably not something we want to glean on too much. It is interesting that whole concept that he can't do that. And then we find out that the Doctor is starting to feel time sickness, which is interesting considering he can only feel that in a universe with time. So yeah, interesting stuff happens there, mainly to do with the TARDIS possibly being close enough and having time energy, basically creating time around it, it seems, which is quite nice for the Doctor. Gives him back some sense, I guess. But then, on their way to try and find that TARDIS, he splits into 3 distinct personalities.
Oh, yes.
And it is so good.
My favorite's the retarded one.
Okay. Basically, it ends up being the retarded. While I was listening to it, in my mind's eye, all I was thinking is, this is the 3 Doctors again, because the sensible one is the first Doctor, the crazy one is the second Doctor, and the angry one is the third Doctor, and that's it. That's what's going on right here, and it's so good. Listening to that, because it is basically the 8th Doctor playing out his first 3 incarnations together. It's so good. Paul McGann does it so well.
Yeah, I know. It's amazing that you can tell which one's talking.
Exactly. Well,
how did he do that?
He's just really good.
Yeah.
He's Paul McGann. He's the 8th Doctor. He should have had a TV run. Come on.
Hashtag animate Big Finish.
Yes. so much. Anyway, we get some real interesting things in the story. Mainly the planet that they're on is very interesting, as it seems to contain things from a variety of different planets. Mainly things from Earth, which is interesting, such as cows, clocks, other things like that. Pretty interesting stuff. But of course, it also has the Minotaur and a labyrinth, and it has something that Kira's was talking about, something from his own planet that he is unable to describe because apparently of how complicated it is. And I'm just like, that's just so you guys don't have to talk about it, right?
Yep.
Because you don't have to pay for this to get animated at all.
This is true.
So they just don't have to. If they could just say it's too complicated, then they don't have to describe it and don't have to give it anything. It's really, it's funny how easy it is for them to point and laugh at the fourth wall in audio stories.
Yeah.
They do it exceptionally well. Yeah, but the story is really interesting with the 3 Doctor element. We get introduced to a lot more of the Croaker's sort of nature and his motives. We get to hear from the Divergents, I guess we don't really hear from them. We get some interaction with them, as well as some other people pulling the strings. Wrestler.
Oh man, hold on a second. I think I've got the same thing. I'm suffering from wrestling in the throat. Far out. Oh shit. So
Yeah.
carry on. Oh wow.
But yeah, this is it's a really good. It's a really good story. I don't really want to, as we with the failure that we always have here,
Yeah.
is that we can't really go too far into it because it's not really something that many people have listened to. You don't have the 50-year space of time to go ahead and watch and listen to all of this. This is relatively new, actually, and most of the time people don't even know that it exists, as I didn't until very recently. So definitely go and listen to it. It's a fantastic story. It seems to be nearing the end of this sort of arc that's going on.
The
at least
Division arc, yeah.
yeah. So I suppose you should probably go back and listen to the other ones first, at least in this season. There's stuff in this season, right? Yeah.
Yeah. Because this season is probably the best season in the Divergent universe. I mean, there's only the 2 seasons, but I prefer this one over last season because I mean, Twilight Kingdom was pretty crap, to be honest.
Yeah.
They're
They're not. The thing is about these audio stories is that they're always missing some aspect, really. But most of the time they cover that with doing much better stuff.
Yeah.
And normally that's good. But of course, if they ever try to just they ever don't go all out and make it excellent, then it's always just going to be average. But that's the way that audio stories.
I might point out here though, the not excellent ones are definitely in the minority. Big Finish knock it out of the park with their production value. It's incredible. I love that they've with the audios they've managed to do like TV quality audio.
Yeah.
I was really worried that it's going to be like sort of like I don't know if you've ever listened to like some of the old skits like in Eminem's albums, where you can tell it's like on a CD. But with this, they've done it with they've done it with the sort of the production value that you'd see in a televised serial of Doctor Who. I think it's quite a nice touch.
Definitely. Last thing I'd like to point out is the interactions that Charlie has with all 3 of the doctors, I guess. Is that she really doesn't like the angry one, which I'm assuming is the 3rd Doctor.
Yeah.
And I'm just musing over the fact that if Charlie and the 3rd Doctor had ever met up, he would not have liked her at all. But the other 2 Doctors would have got perfectly alright with her. The 1st Doctor would have got on with her very well, as bright as she is, and gently to the mischievous stuff. He would have found her very amusing. And same with the 2nd Doctor. He would have definitely found her amazing. But the 3rd Doctor, not so much.
Yeah, he was very no nonsense.
Yeah, he would have been like, cut it out.
Yeah, he was like, hey, now's not the time to be doing one-liners. But I love one-liners. I'm Charlie Pollard. So with that, we'll go over to the Rubik's Cube.
Hello. Okay. Yeah, I didn't really know this existed until you said we were talking about it this week, to be honest. But
Welcome to the world of Floyd.
yeah, the most amazing world that exists. So while we were talking about it, I just kind of used the good old TARDIS wiki, and as you said, the Caerdroia is Welsh, but according to the 8th Doctor, means Fortress of Many Turnings or a maze.
Which is interesting. The Wikipedia article I found on it said that it was the Welsh name for Troy.
Yeah. And the Webster entry I found for it said the Welsh word for Troy. So Doctor Who changing the definitions again. good old Doctor Who just going ahead and doing that.
Yes.
Oh yes.
But you are right though. The Doctor in the story and the Doctor Who canon actually does say that. That's what he says to them all.
What else can I add that hasn't been said? Not a lot, really. I have to apologise to you, amazing people, because I did kind of have to skim listen to it this week. Been a bit busy, but I might just kind of second everything that's been said before. Definitely listen to it and just pass over to someone who can say a lot more than I can.
Alrighty, well, thank you for your input nonetheless there, Rubik's. But this story, I love the Welsh guy, that Welsh entity that just exists inside the hotel.
Oh,
I love that Welsh
yes.
guy so much. He's like, you're gonna have to fill out the form, and it's yes, he's just so unnecessarily Welsh. It's great.
So good.
I love the Welsh in Doctor Who. It's just like the Welsh guy in the Yeti invasion and the what is it, the Yeti invasion called, the Web of Fear. Like that
Yeah.
Welsh guy. I'm not going to do it. It even sounds the same. It's great. So
So-
that Welsh entity, I enjoyed the crap out of him. And I love how like he was just actively trolling the Doctor.
Yeah,
Just like-
being like, you need to go to this place and fill out this form.
And he's just like, wait, didn't I just talk to you? It's like, no. He's like, are you twins? Definitely not. And I'm just like, Doctor, it's the same entity. He's just
Yeah.
told you. This entity, I don't believe it's even named. He's just like some sort of administrator. I think that's the only thing that he
I
calls
think-
himself.
I'm not sure whether or not it's just the croaker manipulating something, or
Yeah, he's definitely a machination of the Croakers.
yeah, but it's really his whole character is hilarious.
I love him so much. I just like, I wanted so much more time spent with that character just because like, I was having such a good time. Because the Doctor doesn't want to take any of his crap, but the Doctor has to because he's in a universe where he doesn't understand the crap that's happening.
Yeah.
And so the Doctor's like, all right, okay, cool, my hands are up, I'm gonna go somewhere else, and and then he ends up bumping into a third one. The Doctor's like, he's like, okay, the other guy told me that if I wanted to ask a question, I had to find the literal and rhetorical question kiosk. Is that you? Now, is that a literal question or a rhetorical one? Just answer the question.
So good.
And then
And
the
then, and then he asks about how do I get out of here? And it's like, oh, I thought that was a rhetorical question.
That Welsh guy's the best. I had so much time, such a good time with that Welsh character, and going back and listening over the Eighth Doctor run in Big Finish, I'm picking up all these things that I missed, and I definitely missed that Welsh guy in my memory. I'm saving that guy right into my memory banks forever. I loved him to bits. We're introduced for about 1 minute. This guy called Wayland. Who you can tell is a machination of the Croaker because his name is Wayland and it's clearly a pun. Wayland Yutani, the evil corporation behind the Aliens franchise.
Yep.
I was just like, oh my god, his name's Wayland. And then he ends up just like disappearing, and I was like, oh, it's clearly a machination of the Croaker. But this world kind of felt like a smaller version of the Land of Fiction.
Yeah.
But it was more like a land of reality colliding.
It seemed like sort of like if Isher had been pulled into the land of fiction.
I can see that. Yeah, I could get on board for that. Because the Minotaur scene reminded me... It's beat for beat the Minotaur scene from the Land of Fiction. Because they have the twine. They use it to get out of the maze. Oh, sorry,
Yeah,
the
this-
labyrinth. Sorry, the labyrinth. My apologies. A maze and a labyrinth are not the same thing. The Three Doctors bitch about that for ages, and
Yeah.
I love it because it's so funny. Because all three of the Doctors, oh, except for the dumb one, so two of the Doctors are getting more and more agitated about it, and the dumb
Yeah.
one's just like, it's just the way it is. Just accept it. So it's a labyrinth, not a maze, as the Eighth Doctor would like to point out. And that whole segment's definitely beat for beat from the Land of Fiction. What was it? Mine Robber. Sorry. But not in a bad way though. Not in like a distasteful way like I find a lot with Russell echoing the past. This was very tasteful, and it was more of like an homage more than a reuse.
Well, considering that was pulling out of their minds,
Yeah.
I imagine that it would have not only taken on the whole fictional element of the Minotaur and the labyrinth from both Charlie and the Doctor's mind, but also the fact that the Doctor has been in that situation before.
Yeah.
It's just like, okay, what a visual representation of this.
I love that contact was used a lot in the story. And I love contact. It's one of my favorite abilities that Time Lords have, and I really wish they used it more often. I mean, the only time we've really seen it in New Who is when the 10th Doctor was like, I'm so sorry, and then he used contact to wipe Donna Noble's mind, and I was just like, oh my god, I love contact.
He does the contact with Marie Antoinette, and
Oh, he does do contact with her, yeah.
yeah,
Oh, and
later,
James Corden's character.
Yeah,
I'll
later he does. Later he does the headbutt contact.
Yeah, I'm just like, Doctor, just touch his temples. It'd be so much faster.
No, he was just like, I need to slam all of this information into you at once.
Yeah, I love Contact. It is legitimately my favorite ability the Time Lords have. And what was really good in this story is every time he used Contact, you've got to turn it up a wee bit, but the background noise is the noise that they use in the Three Doctors when they use Contact.
Yeah,
I was like, that's so 70s. That's awesome. I had a little bit of fangirl fangasm when I heard that. I was just like, oh my god, that's the original Contact noise. And without giving anything away, the angry Doctor uses Contact to almost kill someone, and it's so brutal. And,
yeah.
and the
It
end
was
of
so good.
it's so brutal, and the being that he's using it on is pooing his pants.
Yeah.
It's like, please don't do it. You wouldn't do it. He's just like,
You're the doctor. No, you have moral high ground.
no, not this Doctor, baby.
I'm the first doctor.
He's like, "Rah!" and he like almost makes that being poo its pants, like almost on a literal level, not a figurative one. It's like, it's so ruthless. And then he saves one of the other doctors, and the other doctor goes, "Hey, where's the person?" And he looks down the floor, and he's like, "Oh." He's like, "Don't judge me, a part of you."
I don't think he even sees the other being. He just knows instinctively what the angry side would have done. Like he's just like, what's that thing that I have to stop him from doing all the time? Oh right, killing people.
And so the Three Doctors end up becoming a one, and a very special thing happens, but that I don't want to ruin because it's definitely, there's a lot of lead up to it.
Yeah.
A whole 2 seasons with the big finish leading up to it. I think it. I think this is a very, very good story, but I think in the whole Divergent run, I still think Scherzo's the best.
Yeah, that one's
Scherzo it's the best. It just is. And I know that's subjective. The best is a subjective term, but Whoscussion canon is the best.
it's the best.
But Caerdroia is great. I'd probably put it maybe on par, or maybe just a little bit below Scherzo, but still a bloody brilliant listen. I thoroughly suggest that. But again, we can't give away too many story points, and so for the first time ever here on Whoscussion, we're going to talk about short trips.
Yes, our first trip. Our first trip.
Yay!
Not the drug trip. We're going to take it.
We're taking a Doctor Who trip. Kids stay out of drugs, alright? Stay in school.
We are going to do the short trip, Rise and Fall, which is actually fantastic.
I know, right? Yes! I can't
really
wait.
It is so good. But before we do that, I want to really point out that that you can also basically get the gist of the story if you go ahead and watch the Voyager episode Blink of an Eye, because the same sort of thing happens.
Oh, okay.
Yes, actually, pretty much exactly the same thing happens. Where we find ourselves.
I might just put in here, we can totally spoil this one.
We can totally spoil this one. This
Yeah.
is perfectly fine. I don't mind spoiling this one at all. So we end up on a planet that has some horse people.
Yeah, they've got horse noses, right?
Yeah.
And they've got like spindly bodies.
Yes. Like reverse centaur.
Yeah.
Which isn't fantastic. But anyway, for some reason the story says that it includes Barbara and Susan. Doesn't. It includes Ian and the Doctor. It's something to carefully muse over. This story basically it boils down to the first Doctor and Ian watching a civilization and world go from beginning to end in a very short amount of time, which is really quite eye-opening, and that's the reason why I brought up the Voyager episode is because the same thing happens in there, except not in such a short space of time, of course, because Voyager's got like a 40-minute episode time. So basically, it really encapsulates a lot of sci-fi stories down boils them down to like the most base aspect is the kind of things that can happen in civilization as a whole, from beginning to end, through every age, seeing that, especially the way that the Doctor and Ian see it is it would be kind of mind-boggling. I can imagine that the Doctor understands it much better than Ian ever did, simply because the Doctor has experienced that real time, has been able to outlive a civilization in his own time. But Ian, that probably broke him as a man, honestly.
Yeah. Good old Chesterfield.
Chesterfield. Yeah, it's a really good audio story, and it's really short, and it's sort of like a bite-sized piece of Doctor Who, and it's a fantastic way to experience sci-fi, honestly.
Yeah, bite-sized and to the point.
Yeah, it's not something that you want to like go and binge. Like, you wouldn't want to go and listen to all of the short stories at once, because it would kind of also break your mind, as much as watching a civilization rise and forward. But it's really good. It's really good fiction in any sense of the word. So yeah, definitely go ahead and listen to it. I don't want to go through the story because we've got a lot of people to talk about it. But basically, if you like this, if you like this story, and you want to get some more into that sort of stuff, I would recommend watching that Voyage episode, and then go ahead and watch all of the Voyager, because it's great.
There you go. Little bit of non-paid plug. There you go. Go watch Voyager. So with Harriet Skelly, nice and cleaned up there, we'll move on to Rubik's.
Hello. Yeah. I just noticed that it does feature Susan and Barbara for like the minutest.
Yeah.
But smallest fraction of time.
That like the nth of a second.
Yeah, just like wasn't it something like going into the TARDIS wardrobe or something?
Yeah, to put on a silk dress from the 29th century.
Yeah, and that's about the only extent they feature in. Oh boy. But also I love what's the guy who plays Ian? William Russell.
Yeah.
He has a pretty mint impression of the first Doctor.
Chesterton.
Chesterfield. Chest of drawers.
Chesterfield is having Chesterfields. Oh dear.
Yeah.
Only 26 minutes. So again, because I listened to this like this morning. Well, not this morning. This afternoon when I woke up.
Actually, I think you can listen to it. I think you can absolutely listen to it on the Wikipedia for free.
It is. It's on TARDIS Wiki.
It is on TARDIS Wiki in the middle of the Wikipedia article. It's right there.
What? That's amazing! Holy crap! It's right there. Okay, there you go. For free, people listening to Whoscussion. I might actually put that in the description this week.
Yeah, do it.
Yeah, wow, that's awesome. I'm definitely putting that in the description.
Right under not the Mind Probe.
Yeah, right under not the Mind Probe. Not the Mind Probe has to go first.
Oh man, I totally forgot about that from Caerdroia.
Oh, the Mind Probe.
There's a bunch of times where the Croker is referring to sort of a mind, some mind device, mind blast, mind stuff, and the Eighth Doctor's like, well, come on, it's not like a mind probe or anything. Oh, so
what? Good. No, not the Mind Probe. Not the Mind Probe. Hell yeah, that's the best bum step 2018.
Yes.
So Rubik's just
yes.
So what are your thoughts of the story? What did you come away feeling?
What I come away feeling? I felt kind of like if you could take how a circle feels as it's being drawn. I was like feeling really kind of small as it's starting out, and then kind of going, okay, I'm kind of half complete, not sure what I'm feeling. Then kind of 3/4 complete, getting frustrated that you're not complete, and then finally complete. That's how the story made me feel. It was a nice, complete story.
Mm.
Just kind of, well, that being said, it's a whole civilization you're going full circle with. So, but yeah, that's probably the best analogy I can come up with for how it made me feel.
That's a very perfect analogy.
I like the idea that, and if only the Doctor was able to see the way that the people, the horse people, are treating them as gods.
Mm.
Because this is nowhere near the first time the Doctor's been treated as a god.
Yeah,
Definitely not.
and it's a bit of a science fiction staple at this point as well. Like,
So the Doctor
yeah.
is their god.
yeah. Well, at least it's not Barbara. I really hope I don't screw that up again.
Oh, yes. Yeah. But, yeah, it's a very interesting way of looking at it. I'm going to have to go and watch Voyager now.
Seriously, that episode is actually fantastic. Even just not knowing exactly how Voyager works is a really interesting aspect. It's mainly because it interests a bunch of new characters and it doesn't really spend much time on the ship, other than basically them explaining what's going on. It's not one of those sci-fi stories that Star Trek generally goes into, where they have the magic science their way out of things sort of deal. Basically, it's just it's very much like this this short story. In fact, very very much like it, in almost every aspect, except it's just 40 minutes long. Of course, they're not horse people. I guess that's one thing that's about it. But it's still a fantastic play on this whole idea, and I really do hope that there are other stories out there that utilize this idea. I'd really like to see like a full length like novel based around this sort of idea. It would be really cool to see, actually.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree. With this story, I thought it was extremely interesting that the whole civilization, its evolution from coming out of the water to the fall of a highly technical civilization, it all happens in the space of a minute for the Doctor and Ian. They are, for whatever reason, they're slowed down in time, and so they're moving very, very, very slowly. And they seem to be stuck in some sort of time bubble or some sort of time warp of some description.
The TARDIS is sort of out of sync with the universe.
Yeah.
Out of sync with the time stream on that planet for whatever reason.
Yeah, and so for the Doctor and Ian's perspective, they see sort of shades of these people, and what's happening is this race of beings are actually coming up, inspecting them, and figuring out what to do. And so they go from their primitive state to their technological state, because what happens is they end up seeing Ian and the Doctor wearing clothes, think to themselves, we should probably have these clothes things. They end up seeing the TARDIS and going, oh, hey, look, we should build buildings, invent buildings. And so their whole entire existence is around Ian and the Doctor. And I think it's amazing that like the Doctor and Ian are accidentally responsible for the entire culture of the species of beings. And they look like horses. Who swim. So you can lead them to water and get them to drink. And I like that the three natives that we are introduced to, they're from the significant periods of the... Oh, sorry, the four natives. My apologies. They were introduced are in significant periods of their time. So we've got the first one who's like a primordial version, like a evolutionary offshoot. Then we've got the second one who is a primitive trying to teach his boy about the ways. And what's interesting about the primitive section is in their society, the women are the hunter-gatherers, which I thought was really cool, and sort of plays a lot to do with like Gaia Kelly, and this week's episode that we talked about the seeds of death. We're going to say the Seeds of Doom there, but the Seeds of Death. And then we go on to the third character, who's an academic, who's trying to convince the peoples of his world that that there are living beings and not some sort of like organic statue. And the last entity is someone where they've gone all out nuclear war.
Mm-hmm.
And shit's really hit the fan. And
The proverbial fan.
yeah,
Yes.
and and when it's all said and done, this bubble seems to disappear for the Doctor and Ian, and the Doctor sort of has to explain to, as Harry Scully was saying earlier, you know, the blown mind of Ian. The first Doctor sort of has to explain that they witness the rise and fall.
Mm-hmm.
And it's very good. I love that it's self-contained. I also love that it's for free. This is the SoundCloud free snippet that they've got on the TARDIS Wiki. The reason for that, and the reason it's not against the law, is because Big Finish actually made these stories free.
Mm-hmm.
They made them free in December 2010.
Woohoo!
So well done, Big Finish. That's awesome. What a good way to get people on the train, to be honest, to listening to more Big Finish. This is great. I'm definitely going to link this in the description. It's a good story. I definitely suggest it. This one isn't full cast though. I will warn people. It's not a full cast audio. It's done more like an audio book, really. But it's definitely it doesn't degrade the quality in any way. Big Finish is still here in all of its flourish. And I suggest people go give it a listen.
Definitely.
Yes.
Anybody got anything to add about the 4 stories we've covered this week? Any of the
I'm
4
good.
stories? We good? Harriet Skelly?
They were all very excellent. This has been a most excellent adventure.
Yes.
That we have had
Bodacious!
that we have had today and this week. As we say many times over on the show, if you haven't gone back and watched or listened to any of the previous Doctor Who to what's currently coming out, you really ought to. Even if it's just some of it, it's really good.
Yeah,
especially
definitely
if you like
look at highlights.
Yeah, especially even if you like, if you just like sci-fi, if you're not a particular fan of Doctor Who in its entirety, as I know some people who some people exist that don't particularly like Doctor Who, surprisingly enough as it is, there are still some that don't appreciate sci-fi on that level, but there's always going to be people who appreciate sci-fi at all, and these short stories are, especially the short trips, are particularly good examples of ones that you should at least try. All the other ones, probably, it's kind of a lifetime commitment, Doctor Who.
Yeah.
So you might not want to go all out on that. But at the very least, you should listen to some of the greats. I'm sure you can find a fantastic list of all the great Doctor Who episodes on YouTube somewhere.
Yeah.
If not, we did a few of those, haven't we, in the past?
Yeah, we did highlight reels, the best of each Doctor, back in the beginning of Whoscussion. So yeah, if you want to go ahead and check that out, feel free. A little bit of a shameless plug there. Go ahead and watch the rest of the series.
Plug our own series.
Yeah, plug our own series. You know how it is. And
also plugging TARDIS Wikia and Star Trek Voyager.
And Star Trek Voyager. There you go. Actually, with that, if you wouldn't mind giving me a link to pop in the description for that episode, that'd be great.
I can pop in the article for that as well. So there is actually it comes with a full summary. So if you don't feel like watching it, you can totally read the whole thing.
Alrighty, cool. Well, I'll pop that in the description. And with that said and done, thank you so much for tuning in. Thank you again to Harriet Skelly, who's always there for me, always got my back.
Of course.
And Rubik's, thank you again for being our guest this week. Thank you very much.
It's been a pleasure.
Catch you later.